Billy Butcher might just be one of the most influential characters on the Amazon series, The Boys, and he has proved to be an excellent leader to this team of vigilantes. He can be best described as a true force of nature who doesn't shy away from using brute force, but he is quite cunning at the same time. In some instances, he just sweet talks his way, and he's quite committed to his goal of destroying superheroes. Butcher has not shied away from killing any and all superheroes in his path, but the Boys comic showed a slightly different side of him in one of their issues. When Butcher comes across a superhero team known as the Super Duper, he cannot get himself to kill them, which is quite uncharacteristic of him. Today, we will explore this comic issue in detail and embark on a thrilling adventure with this teen superhero team, the Super Duper. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. All about the time Butcher faced a superhero team so unique that he couldn't harm them. The Super Duper were first introduced in the Boys Comics' 41st issue, created by Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson. The issue begins with Hughie, smiling wide on the cover, who seems to be finally in a good place after his girlfriend's death. He had ended up joining the Boys to avenge her death after she was killed due to a superhero, and we learn that he has recently fallen for a girl, Annie. As things turn out, Hughie does not seem to be aware that Annie is also a superhero, but his boss, Butcher, has stumbled upon this information. So, as the issue progresses, Butcher assumes that Hughie is working against the team and that he's secretly in cahoots with the superheroes. In this context, Butcher decides to send Hughie to spy on the team, around the same time that the iconic Malchemical showed up to, boss around and lead the Super Duper. While this is just the background of the comic, Butcher does not immediately jump to attack the team and do any harm to them. A big reason seems to be the fact that they were a bunch of teen superheroes who could be pretty silly and innocent. Their wholesome appearance contributed to Butcher's hesitation, and he let them live, even when they started working with Malchemical. But that's enough talking. Let us delve into the issue and explore the day-to-day shenanigans of the Super Duper, and especially have a look at the group dynamic now that Malchemical has picked up the mantle of being their leader. As it turns out, the Boys first took note of the Super Duper after the former Team Titanic member, Malchemical, joined the group. Malchemical's dismissal from this team was the event that set everything in motion, and it was later revealed that he was kicked out after he assaulted another member, the Starlight. As the incident unravels, we learn that he used his shape-shifting powers to impersonate the Starlight's boyfriend, Jimmy the One, and then tricked her into sleeping with him. This incident was quite a shock to Team Titanic, and Malchemical was sent off to be the Super Duper's leader as his punishment. In fact, the comic issue kicked off with him questioning what he did to deserve this, while the Super Duper heroes surround him and throw a party to welcome him. The team includes Auntie Sis, Black Hole, Clanker, Lady Fold, Kid Camo, Still Shadow, and Bobby Bedoing, who all have their own unique set of powers. They all seem happy at the prospect of working under Malchemical, and Auntie Sis starts introducing the team when he cuts her off. At the same time, one of the members, Bobby Bedoing, starts floating around the room in excitement to, show off his powers, while Malchemical wonders what his exact role is. However, he doesn't particularly seem excited at the prospect of leading them, and doesn't care enough to understand their powers. This was quite a loss on his part, as all these kids had some exciting abilities. For instance, the Black Hole had superhuman digestion, which gave him the ability to consume matter in all forms. Kid Camo could shapeshift into any object in order to blend in with the environment, and he once displayed this ability when he blended with a tree to rescue a cat. Clanker was known for swearing out loud or speaking his mind without giving it a second thought, but he had the impressive ability to transform into metallic objects, such as chains or an anvil. Still Shadow could walk through solid matter and face through any substance, but her intangibility powers were unstable, and she struggled able to control them. Auntie Sis, Bobby Bedoing, and Ladyfold were other members of the team, with Auntie Sis looking over all of them and unofficially leading the team. This team was an anomaly compared to the other superhero teams under Vought, and the comics established quite a quirky origin story for them. As it turns out, they were ageless children from the future world of 5000 AD, and they all had been exposed to Compound V as kids. This compound triggered a transformation within them and gave them all superpowers. But at the end of the day, they were all just innocent, kind-hearted teenagers who were isolated from the rest of the corrupt, hedonistic superheroes in the Boyce universe. Now that we have established their origins, let us return to the comic issue at hand. As the Super Duper welcome their new leader, they soon start eating cake, and Auntie Sis tells Malchemical that they haven't had a leader before, and they mostly just sit around their headquarters waiting for a chance to go out on a mission. While their team was sponsored by Vought American, they weren't given top priority and were primarily assigned low-risk missions that, did not carry a lot of importance. As their party continues, Malchemical is shocked to learn that they hang out and wait all day when Clanker loses control over himself and hurls an abuse at a fellow teammate. He immediately apologizes for it, but the incident greatly entertains Malchemical, and they have a good laugh about it before, heading out to patrol their surroundings. With Bobby Bedoing in the lead, they march around, while Malchemical is asked to observe how they work to get a better understanding of the team. At the same time, Hughie spies on them from a distance and watches them as they scrambled around to save a cat, but end up stirring too much chaos in their surroundings. Malchemical seems quite amused by their lack of experience, and he makes a crude joke about how the team is made up of unwanted children, while Auntie Sis tells them to tune him out. As the scene shifts to Mother's Milk and Frenchie, they hang around and chat with each other, while Mother's Milk goes through some computer files to gain more information on Malchemical and Vought's decision to send him to lead the Super Duper. As the scene shifts to Malchemical, he reveals that he was kicked off from his former team for trying to get with the leader's girlfriend. He also learns a bit more about the kids that form the team and realizes that they are all only trying to do their best and use their powers for good. Even if they might not have the capabilities or experience to embark on high-risk missions, the Super Duper team genuinely only wishes to do well, and it makes sense that Butcher did not immediately label them as a huge threat. However, Malchemical's involvement with the team raises many eyebrows, and Butcher realizes that he is not one to be fooled with. Sensing that the Super Duper might become a bigger threat if Malchemical influences the kids, he sends Hughie off to spy on them. As the comic issue continues, Hughie talks to Annie on the phone when he spots the team on the streets as they go out for some ice cream. He hangs up and rushes after them, while Auntie Sis, Kid Camo, and the other team members discuss Malchemical's behavior over some ice cream. Auntie Sis reassures them that he only needs some time to adjust to the team, while Black Hole tries to eat a massive chunk of ice cream and accidentally chokes on his spoon. So, while the crowd freaks out, Black Hole gasps for breath, and the Super Duper hysterically try to help him in any way possible. However, they have very little success, and Hughie watches them in utter horror, while a flashback shows us how he learned to perform a tracheotomy, in the instance that the Heimlich maneuver doesn't help with choking. He rushes to the side and asks the rest of the team to move, while Bobby Bedoing exclaims that he has gotten a knife. The story shifts back and forth as we learn how Hughie learned to perform a tracheotomy to save someone's life to the present day, where he actually saves Black Hole. While Auntie Sis thanks him for his generosity, he tells them that he still needs to see a proper doctor and that he has called for an ambulance. Meanwhile, Clanker tells him that he saved their friend and asks him his name, and Hughie comes up with a fake name and introduces himself as Hamish. They all start cheering for Hamish for saving the day, and they even pull him in for a hug. And the comic ends with a shot of Butcher, who seems visibly upset over this incident. Over time, Hughie grows close with the team and inevitably joins them, and the following comic issues follows his adventures, especially with Malchemical leading the team. In an unfortunate turn of events, Malchemical ends up attacking the team and almost killing Hughie, and Butcher finally steps up and burns him alive. After getting rid of Malchemical, Butcher turns his attention towards the rest of the Super Duper, but Hughie urges him to leave them alone. He insists that they are just kids, and Butcher takes one hard look at them before seeing what Hughie means. He leaves them be, and his relationship with Hughie is what finally stops him from killing the Super Duper. The team seems quite terrified, and they barely seem to have any hopes for survival when Butcher finally decides against slaughtering all all of them. For a comic series that is well known for its violent storylines, it was indeed quite out of character for Butcher to stop himself from, going on a rampage. However, this instance highlights how much he cares for Hughie at the end of the day, and even shows Butcher's more considerate, softer side. It establishes the fact that Butcher has finally come around to trusting Hughie, cause, fans believe that he just would have murdered them all if something like this happened in an earlier story arc. Marvelous verdict. To wrap things up, the Super Duper team truly seems quite sincere in their endeavors to make the world a better place, and their innocence practically radiates through the comic book pages. While Butcher had good reason to be suspicious of them after Malchemical joined the group, he could also see that they were harmless, and it was a relief that he decided against killing them off at first glance. The Super Duper truly make for a fun addition to the boys' lore, and it's quite a shame that they had a short-lived story arc. However, they did stir up a whole lot of chaos in their brief appearances and also gave us an opportunity to see how far Butcher has come from the times when he would brutally get rid of any and every superhero he encountered. We had a blast exploring this comic series, and kudos to Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson for presenting this comic so beautifully. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone!